Last time out, we looked at how you would set up your lines to play against teams who play with a wing play style. And today we are going to look at what is possibly the most difficult style that you are going to encounter in your FM careers. And we're going to look at why it's so difficult to play against and what you can do to maximize your chances of being successful. Today we're looking at controlled possession. Let's go and kick some balls. And welcome back to FM with Old Man Phil and the continuation of this series, Learn Your Lines. This is all about where do I position my lines for each of the opposition that I'm about to play. And looking at our schedule here for Ipswich, our good run has continued and we are doing extremely well. And you see as we go back, things are looking extremely good. And we just recently did have a defeat. That was against Aston Villa, where we lost by 2-1 in the FA Cup third round. Rank outsiders we were in that game. I was actually quite proud of how the boys played. It was a pretty good result, I would say, considering that as a championship team, we were rank outsiders in this game. We then went on to beat Stoke in one of the most fascinating games that I've played on a live stream for a long time, and it really was a game of chess. Stoke would make a move, I had to counteract that. I would make a move and Stoke counteracted. It was a real game of chess, a game that I thoroughly enjoyed playing, and I was fortunate that we'd started to live stream this and we were able to see this live and in real time. It was a great game and we finally beat them by 1-0. And so our form continues, but the last two opponents that we have played have been against Aston Villa and Stoke, and both of them play with a controlled possession style. So I thought it was only natural to focus on the controlled possession style, especially as our next opponent is Sunderland, who also play in a controlled possession style. And I wanted to see, have we learned anything from what we did in the other two games, and did it work? And so before we go on to looking at what the control possession style is, if you are brand new to the channel and you like FM content, then why not hit that subscribe button, click the bell, and you'll be updated when we upload future videos in this series and everything else that we do. And while you're there clicking buttons, why not give us a like? Because it's likes and comments that help the YouTube algorithm to push the videos out to people who've not yet had a chance to see anything from our channel. So let's go and take a look at what is a controlled possession style and why it is so difficult to defend against. Okay, so they are going to set up in a control possession style. And basically from the description it says they play in a control possession style, a tactic that focuses on retaining possession and pressing high to win the ball back. Look to play out of defence and create chances through patient, short passing, build-up play. So you can see they are focused on building at the back. They are looking for spaces between your lines. They're using their off-the-ball movement to find spaces between the lines and then set up chances in the last quarter of the pitch. This is a very dangerous tactic because not only are they playing through the middle, but they're going to stretch the play very wide, stretching your defense horizontally as well as vertically. So you have to make sure that your lines are very close together in order to prevent them getting into these spaces, and also that you are set up defensively to stop them using the spaces behind you down the flanks. It's a very difficult tactic to play against. Probably, I would say, the most difficult one of all. And so let's go and have a look at how this plays out actually on the graphics on the field. And so as we said, the controlled possession is pretty much a very slow way of playing. They are going to be very composed. They're going to pass the ball around. Here you can see that they are passing the ball around the defense. We're not going to press them because they are just going to be so capable of moving the ball around our press. So we're backing off. We're in a mid-block and they are passing the ball around, keeping possession. This is a lovely example, but unfortunately they can't keep the move going and we intercept it. Again, passing it around, passing it back across the pitch. They're probing, looking for space in between the lines. But again, our lines are very compact at this point and we're able to cut it out and do a counter-attack. Again, passing it around, looking for space, probing, and looking for space between our lines, which are very, very close together, as you can see. And there is very little space available for the opposition between our lines. You can see that there are 3 players who are looking to get into that space, but they're very compact and there's very little space in there, and we're able to close them down very quickly when balls are played to them. And here's an example. We close him down and we win the ball back, and once again we're able to launch an attack of our own. Again, another example, and passing the ball around is very slow, it's very controlled. That's why it's called control possession. And they're just waiting for us to make a mistake, looking for space and wearing us down. But we again managed to cut out that through pass. Here's another example, and this time they're working the ball across the field, looking again to break us down. Our lines are very resolute. We force them to play backwards, but they're going to be patient. They're going to build again. And so they're building again. There's a pass up the field. Again, we cut it out. And again, we can launch a counterattack. But there came a time where they were able to break us down. And there's a lovely pass into midfield. And this opposition players about to move into that space between the lines, and it looks like they'd up the tempo a little bit here, and they'd found the way to get past and to break down our lines. It created an opportunity. Unfortunately, the pass was pretty poor and the danger really became nullified, and we managed to snuff it out. But they did finally score. We'd counterattacked, we had bodies up the field, and they were able to move it fairly quickly out of defence. Short passing, looking for opponents nearby. There's a lovely pass inside here, and you can see 2 players have broken the lines. That meant that there was an awful lot of space opened up, and they were able to work it down the side, a little cut back, and we went a goal behind. Unfortunate, but that's how difficult it is to play against the control possession. And they wait patiently until somebody makes an error that pulls someone else out of shape. They move into space which is opened up, and then they strike. So it's very, very important that teams remain in compact shape, that the spaces between your lines are minimized so that they cannot use those spaces. And looking at Sunderland, I was quite surprised to see that Sunderland were going to play in a control possession. They weren't really doing that well in the league, but I guess they fancied themselves in terms of playing in this style. They have to be a good team to play in this style. They have to be good in passing and vision. They have off the ball movement needs to be good. And they also need to be able to press high up the pitch. And I wondered whether Sunderland were capable of doing that. I wasn't going to say no, they're not, and we were going to give them the greatest of respect. And so we had to set up to play against Sunderland. Now, I could see, looking at the team formation just on the left-hand side there, that both wing-backs were complete wing-backs. Probably the left one on support, but the one on the right was definitely an attacking complete wing-back. And that would mean that they, pushing high up the pitch, might leave spaces in behind us. This might suit us because we are a counter-attacking team. And so that gave me an idea in terms of how to attack against them. But let's go and have a look at how we set up the team. And so we set up the team pretty much as we do, but we decided we're going to play in a mid-block. Going to step up more, standard line of defence to stop anything coming out wide. And therefore we're going to try and keep these lines as compact as possible. If it wasn't working, I could always come back a notch into a low block, and that would constrict the space available to the opposition even more. But I thought they're not that great, and they can't be that good at playing this style. So I'll sit in a mid-block, give them the space in their own half. We'll engage them just over the halfway line, and then we will try to win the ball off them and launch counterattacks down the flanks. And that's what I did, was I decided to focus my attacks down the flanks where their complete wing backs were and play the ball into space so that our players could utilize the space that they were leaving behind them. And so let's go and have a look what happened in the match. And so the game got underway, and I'm fully expecting Sunderland to dominate possession, pass the ball around, but we are set up in a way that we could combat that. And Sunderland did come at us in the early stages and they created a number of chances. They had a number of free kicks, and that was something that I was aware of and that possibly I was going to do something about later on. But they did come at us. They did dominate the possession, but more and more we grew into the game. And in the end, we started to force them to go long. Our idea of playing down the flanks was causing them problems. And as we're about to see, as we pick the ball up, and we find space down the flanks. It's a lovely cross into the box, and Hurst makes it 1-0 very early on. We'd caught them with our plan to play behind them, and down that left-hand flank we had looked pretty dangerous. We had got the match momentum, and it did look to me like Sunderland were focused down the wings, and so our defence in terms of our standard line in defence meant that they couldn't get behind us. We had the match momentum, even though Sunderland had all the possession and they were trying to play it around. They were very narrow. Compact nature meant that we could take the ball off them, and once again we took the ball off them. We had given ourselves time at the back to deal with their press, but I did make a change. I did want them to stay on their feet. We had given away a number of free kicks, and I didn't want to give away a silly goal from a free kick. And so once again, although Sunderland dominated the possession, we pressed them down the left-hand side, down the flanks, another cross into the box, and Hurst got his second goal. And now we were controlling the game. You can see that we have just about brought the possession down. They're still dominating the possession, but we are edging closer to them. And we get a corner. We're creating chance after chance after chance. And from this corner, it comes back out. We have another chance from the edge of the box. It clips the crossbar and goes over. We are the better team, despite the fact that we don't have the possession. Sunderland have 60% of the possession, but we are more clinical. The chances we are creating are much better. And I decided at that point that we were much more effective down the left-hand side than we were down the right. So I took that off. And we had actually forced Sunderland to go long. They were stopping playing the ball out from the back, but they are trying to play the ball around. Here's an example of control possession where they're playing it around, looking for space between the lines, focus on the outside, and they do very well here, and they do manage to get to a situation where they can create a problem. But it's a long shot, and they hadn't got behind us. You see their focus is down the flanks, and our standard line has dealt with that completely. This has put us in a strong position. My game plan to focus down the flanks has made all the difference, and we are 2-0 up as we're approaching half-time. It's a very, very nice performance, this, by my boys. We're playing deep. You can see how deep we are, which gives the defenders a lot more time on the ball. They can be a lot more composed, and we've pretty much put Sunderland's press to bed. And a lovely ball over the top, and Hurst should have got his hat-trick. But we're a poor team in terms of our attacking prowess, and looking at the stats there, you can see that Sunderland are focused down the flanks. The standard line was snuffing that out. In the second half, it was much the same. Again, focusing our play down that left-hand side, trying to work an opening. We'd taken a lot of the possession off them now. Although they still had the majority of the possession, I don't think they were good enough to play a control possession type game. They didn't have the passing ability. They didn't have the vision. Their press, we had just managed to, by using the lines we were using, we just managed to see off their press. And you can see that we have plenty of time to deal with the press. They're still focused down the wings, but there's a little bit more going on down the middle for them, and I'm aware of that now. And Sunderland do get the ball here in the second half and try to get it down the flanks, but looking at that, they can't cross from there. It's not dangerous from there, and they can't get on the end of it. But a mistake from my defender here, closing down poorly and let them in, and he certainly put that in with aplomb. It was a very good goal, but it was a defensive error, and when my defence is not very good, we are going to make errors. And so I made a little change. I was aware they were playing down the middle a little bit more, so I pushed the line up to combat that. And then once again, we're focusing our play down the left-hand side. We break down the left, lovely pass inside, and we find someone free in the box, and it's 3-1. And so I think now at this point it's game over. We then get a penalty, which we promptly missed. We're not very good at penalties here at Ipswich. And at this point, what I'm thinking is just go back to what we were doing. I pulled the line back and went into a low block. It just was concerned now. Get bodies in front of get bodies in behind the ball, and let's see this game out. Again, you can see we're focused down the left. We're causing them all sorts of trouble, and they have been soundly beaten, in all fairness. They are playing long now, which suits us fine, and they cannot find a way past us. They're in complete disarray. The setup that we've used has completely broken them down. We are still focused down the flanks. We get a chance down the right-hand side. It's a lovely pass inside, and Hurst thought he'd got his hat-trick, but that one was disallowed. And we were eventually going to run out winners. We had completely destroyed their control passing system. It was a very, very good victory that we had here today. And so that is the control possession. It is played really by good teams. You're not going to come across it very often as you go through your season. The fact that we played against it 3 times on the trot is very unusual. But some of the teams, such as Stoke or Sunderland, possibly don't have the player capability to play it well. You will normally find it played by teams who have extremely good, talented players. Players who can pass the ball with great off the ball, and they have an ability to press you high up the pitch to take the ball off you. This takes really good attributes in terms of the team. Their teamwork has to be pretty good. Their stamina has to be very good, and they have to be good all-round technical players. I wasn't sure that Stoke or Sunderland were that. But when you do come across it, that's what you'll need to do in order to maximise your chances of success. And so if you are brand new to the channel and you like FM content, then why not? Hit that subscribe button, click the bell, and you'll be updated when we upload future videos in this series. And while you're there, clicking around at the bottom, why don't you give us a like? Because it's likes and comments that help the YouTube algorithm to push the video out to people who've not yet had a chance to see our videos. I'm not sure what the next one in the series is going to be. We will wait to see what kind of styles of play we come up against. But hopefully within the next week, we're going to produce the next video in this series. So look out for that. And all that remains to be said is stay safe, take care, and we'll see you in the next one.